There's a certain quiet that settles over the bathroom when you close the door behind you. It is a space apart from the world, a moment where movement slows and the outside noise fades to a softer hum. In this pause, you reach for your phone almost naturally, as if to complete the experience. The screen lights up like a small beacon in the dimness, an invitation to scroll, to swipe, to enter the endless feed that seems to hold fragments of other lives, moments, and stories. What nobody talks about is how deeply personal this act feels, how ordinary it is to look for connection, distraction, or comfort exactly when you're physically isolated. You are not alone in this, even if it sometimes feels like a secret habit hidden behind closed doors. If you find yourself scrolling on social media while sitting on the toilet, this video is for you. It's for anyone who has noticed the strange comfort in this routine and wondered why it has become such a fixture in daily life. The goal here is not to judge or to suggest quick fixes. It is to meet you in this moment, to explore the feelings and patterns that shape this behavior with kindness and understanding. And if that feels right to you, settling in and subscribing quietly can be a way to keep company in this shared space of reflection. There is a widely held belief that scrolling on the toilet is simply a frivolous habit or a silly waste of time. Many people think it is just about killing boredom or being distracted from the real tasks of life. On the surface, this idea sounds logical. After all, why waste precious minutes staring at a screen while the body is occupied elsewhere? This belief makes emotional sense because it fits with common cultural messages about productivity, control, and discipline. It is easy to internalize the sense that focused attention is always a virtue, so time spent on the toilet becomes something to laugh at or hide. Yet beneath this judgment, there is something more complex going on. What nobody talks about is how this pattern can actually reveal a deeper psychological comfort. The toilet becomes a small retreat from constant demands. The phone, in turn, becomes a trusted companion, offering gentle stimulation without pressure. This reframes the habit from being a sign of weakness or distraction to a signal of something quietly essential. The need for moments of pause that are both private and mentally engaging. Instead of condemning yourself for scrolling, it can help to think of this as creating a pocket of space in a hurried world. At a neurological level, this experience taps into how our brains crave interaction and novelty in short bursts. Sitting alone with your thoughts can sometimes be uncomfortable or even overwhelming. When you reach for your phone, your brain receives a hit of dopamine, a chemical linked to pleasure and reward. This small feedback loop helps ease the sense of solitude and offers a quick mental shift. It is not about avoidance or procrastination as much as it is about navigating the delicate balance between stimulation and rest. The screen lights up different parts of your brain, quieting others and providing a brief, manageable input when total silence feels too intense. Imagine this scene as a small island in an ocean of constant movement. The bathroom is that island. The phone is a boat bobbing gently beside the shore. For people who scroll while sitting there, the boat is both a solid anchor and a way to explore without leaving the island's safety. Sometimes the waves beyond, thoughts, worries, urgencies, feel too rough to face without this support. The boat does not take you far, but it offers enough change in view to keep the island calm. Revisiting this metaphor reminds us that what might look like aimless scrolling is actually a delicate dance between connection and solitude. One revelation that shifts perspective is recognizing how this habit is less about the content and more about the ritual it creates. It is less about what you see on the screen than the act of reaching and touching, scrolling and discovering, however briefly. Another insight relates to the timing of this behavior. The bathroom often represents a rare pause in a day full of deadlines, demands, and interactions. This small break becomes a moment to reclaim a sense of self, even if only for a few minutes. A final realization is that this behavior reflects a universal human need to carve out moments of calm in an otherwise noisy existence. It is not a flaw, but a coping mechanism, quietly effective in its own right. Consider the story of a person named Maya. Every day, she would find herself scrolling through social media while on the toilet, feeling a mix of amusement and guilt afterward. One morning, after rushing through a hectic day, she sat down for her usual break and let herself scroll slowly and deliberately. In this moment, she noticed how her breath slowed, how her body relaxed, and how the world outside, briefly, felt less chaotic. Instead of rushing, she stayed with the feeling of calm, realizing it was more than just a distraction. Over time, Maya began to see this habit not as avoidance, but as a quiet, necessary act of self-care. It can be helpful to distinguish between comfort and avoidance here. Comfort nourishes and restores, while avoidance delays or distracts. Scrolling on the toilet may sometimes drift into avoidance, especially if it feels compulsive or fueled by anxiety. However, it often sits firmly in the territory of comfort, an intentional pause, a moment of sensory ease when other options are limited. This nuance matters because it invites compassion toward oneself rather than harsh self-criticism. Recognizing the difference allows space for choice, even within habits that feel automatic. This pattern is not unique to any individual. It reflects broader cultural and social shifts. In a world where attention is under constant demand, from notifications, work, relationships, and news, it makes sense that private moments become prized opportunities for mental respite. What might once have been a simple pause has evolved into a complex ritual shaped by technology and societal pace. Seeing this behavior as part of a systemic modern experience, rather than personal failure, can shift how one interprets it. It becomes less about fixing an individual and more about understanding human adaptation in response to our environment. So, as you reflect on your own experience with scrolling on the toilet, consider these questions deeply. What is this moment providing you with that other parts of your day do not? How does the act of engaging with your phone here feel different than at other times? When does scrolling feel nourishing, and when might it be a signal of another need going unmet? What emotions arise in these brief, private spaces, and what might they be pointing toward? These questions do not require quick answers. They are invitations to explore your inner world gently and patiently. Now, you might be thinking that framing this habit so thoughtfully could make it seem bigger or more meaningful than it really is. But the truth is that everyday behaviors often carry layers of emotion and history beneath their surface. Recognizing this richness helps to ease judgment and opens the door to self-understanding rather than self-criticism. Instead of viewing yourself as simply someone who wastes time scrolling, imagine yourself as a person engaging in a nuanced self-regulatory act, one that deserves acknowledgement and respect. Here is a reframe that can transform how you see yourself in this context. You are not merely addicted to your phone or distracted by social media during these moments. You are a person seeking moments of peace, connection, and sensory engagement in the middle of a busy, demanding day. This shift honors your complexity without simplifying your behavior into good or bad. It gives space for acceptance, and with that acceptance comes freedom, a softer way of being with yourself. Returning to the metaphor of the island and the boat, remember that every visit to the shore is an opportunity to rest and recalibrate. Sometimes the water may be calm and welcoming. Other times, the waves may feel a little restless. The important part is that you're steering your boat towards safety and renewal, not away from responsibility or life itself. This image can remind you that the practice of scrolling on the toilet, for many people, is part of a broader navigation, a way of managing the tides of modern existence. Before we close, it feels important to say that there is no shame in this behavior. It is a very human response to the complexities of attention, stress, and the need for small ceremonies of control. You are far from broken or alone. In fact, your experience echoes a widespread phenomenon that reflects both the challenges and the adaptations of life today. This recognition itself can be a quiet comfort, a gentle reassurance that you belong in this conversation. If this exploration has offered you a new perspective, it might help someone else too. Sharing the way we understand our small moments can build connection in unexpected ways. And as you continue thinking about how we find comfort and engagement in everyday rituals, you might find it interesting to consider related topics like the psychology of people who cannot eat without watching something. These layers of human behavior are deeply intertwined in our search for balance and meaning. So, as you go forward, perhaps hold this phrase with you. You are not defined by your scrolling, but rather by the thoughtful awareness you bring to it. How might the next time you sit down to scroll feel if you see it as a mindful pause rather than a guilty distraction? What new insights could emerge if you allowed yourself to meet the experience with curiosity instead of judgment? These questions are yours to hold in the quiet moments that follow. Thank you for joining me in this slow, reflective conversation. May you find peace in your pauses and grace in your routines.